Okay, welcome everyone to this topic, catching pots of gold with pre-foreclosure properties. So I'm going to describe what the foreclosure process is. So you've got to understand the different phases in the foreclosure process, and then we're going to be focusing primarily on finding awesome deals that are owned by distressed owners in foreclosure process. Okay, so an overview of the foreclosure process. What you've got to understand is that the United States has two types of states. One is judicial and the other one is non-judicial. So what does that mean? First of all, there are 25 non-judicial states and the rest are judicial. So Illinois happens to be a judicial state. So what does that mean? It means that the foreclosure process is governed by the court system. So what is foreclosure? Foreclosure is when an owner has taken a loan from the bank and for whatever reason, they have fallen behind their mortgage payment. So the bank is gonna sue them through the court system, okay? If it's a judicial state like Illinois. However, if it's a non-judicial state like California, guess what? The banks don't need to go through the court system. Therefore, they can foreclose on the owner in as little as 4 to 8 months, believe it or not. Therefore, those markets, non-judicial states, rebound a lot quicker than judicial states like Illinois. So when the burst came, all the non-judicial states rebounds a lot quicker than the Midwest. So most of the Midwest and some states in the East Coast are judicial states. So the foreclosure process has to go through the court system. So the banks have to file a lawsuit through the court system to take possession of the property should the owner not concur with the loan. Okay, so now the next question is, that is crucial. How long does the foreclosure process take in a judicial state like Illinois? It can take up to 2 years, okay? That is very important to understand, okay? 2 years for judicial states like Illinois. So having said that, today we're gonna be focusing on two types of inventory within the foreclosure process. The first one is gonna be pre-foreclosure, and the second one is going to be upcoming auction. So what is the difference? So big difference. When the owner defaults on the mortgage, let's assume today, okay? The bank is gonna start sending letters and it's gonna start making phone calls to the owner. That's gonna go on for about 2 to 3 months, okay? Now, if the owner, for whatever reason, doesn't come current with the loan, guess what's gonna happen? The bank will officially file a lawsuit in the court system against the owner. So the legal term is lien pendant. So many of you maybe have heard of that term. That means the owner is in trouble, right, with the bank. So it's technically they're in the foreclosure process, but since it's the initial step, they call it pre-foreclosure. But technically that is the start of the foreclosure process, which means that if the owner does nothing as far as becoming current with the loan, doing a loan modification, then the bank will officially take over the property, okay? So this process, once the owner has been served and the pre-foreclosure starts, on the 3rd month, then the bank will wait about another 3 to 6 months. So the court system on the 6th to 9th month will set the date of the auction of that particular property at the courthouse. So the court will issue what's called notice of trustee sale, which in colloquial English means the property is going to be auctioned off at the courthouse, okay? So that happens, the average time is at between the 9th to the 12th month, okay? So between 9 months to a year, if the owner has not come current with the loan, then the property will get an auction date from the court system. So that is ordered by the judge, okay? So the judge will issue the notice of trustee sale. That is why you're gonna hear many terms. When people go to auction, they're gonna say, oh, it's a judicial auction. Why judicial auction? Because Illinois is a judicial state. You will also hear, oh, I'm gonna go to a trustee auction. So why? Because the judge issued a notice of trustee sale. So that is why they also call them trustee auctions, but it's all the same thing. So auction, judicial auction, trustee auction, it's exactly the same term for the property being sold to other investors or third-party groups. So we're gonna be focusing on the system, finding great deals at the initial state of the foreclosure process, okay? Now, what are the benefits of us reaching out to the owners? Why do we need to pursue these properties? That's the big question, right? So the answer is these people are in distress, financial distress. So unless they do something about it, guess what? They're gonna lose their home. And guess what? Many of these owners have a lot of equity into the properties. So what does that mean? What that means is that, for instance, the owner may owe $50,000 to the bank, but guess what? The property might be worth $100,000. So the difference, the delta, is the equity. So if the property gets auctioned off and sold to a third-party investor, guess what? The owner is going to lose the property, is going to lose the equity, and is going to ruin the credit. So that's where we, as investors, come into the picture. We're going to identify properties with tons of equity that are under foreclosure, owned by distressed owners. So what can we do to help? How can we buy these properties? Okay, so what we're gonna need to do is, once we identify these awesome deals, we're gonna need to get in touch with the owner. Why the owner and not the bank? Because technically the owner is still entitled to the property. So they still live in the property, they still own the property, the deed is still under the owner's name. So therefore, we need to go directly to the owner. The bank has nothing to do with it, okay? Again, the bank has nothing to do with it. So we're gonna connect with the owners, and there are many ways that we're gonna be able to connect with the owners. So we can do a mailing campaign system in which we send letters. We can do door knocking. So we actually go to the property and introduce ourselves, or we can connect with the owner directly via email, phone, or voicemail. Okay, so having said that, let's jump into the system and find some great, awesome deals that have tons of equity and that are owned by distressed owners. Okay, once we do that and we analyze those deals, then we're gonna find some awesome deals that are going to go for auction in 30 to 45 days. And friends, this is by far my favorite lead pipe. Why is that? Okay, so once the judge issues the auction date, right, or the notice of trustee sale, at that point, it's official that the property is going to get auctioned off at the courthouse. So at that point, the owner has about 45 days to 2 months to do something about it. If they don't do anything about it, guess what? They will for sure lose the property. And we're gonna find some awesome deals owned by distressed owners that are going to go to auction in 30 to 45 days. Now, you may wonder why is that so crucial, right? Why is that so important that we find all these properties with tons of equity during the foreclosure process? Why are we doing this? What's the other option that we have? Okay, so the other option, and what's probably most common that you've heard of, is that investors go to these auctions, judicial auctions, court auctions, trustee auctions, they go there and they pick up great deals, right? That's what most of us have heard of. But guess what, friends? That is not the wise way to buy properties. Why? Because all those people that go to the judicial auction at the courthouse, guess what? First of all, they're going to be sitting in a room, right, with tons of investors, and they're going to be buying properties that they may have not seen in the first place. So they're going to buy sight unseen, which is a big mistake and a big risk, right? Because you don't know what the inside of the property looks like, okay? Number one. Number two, you have to pay cash for those properties, okay? Number three, you're gonna be competing against other investors. Therefore, the likelihood of them overpaying for the property is very high, okay? So therefore, it's not a good idea to go to the auction itself, okay? Because you're gonna be eaten by sharks. And if you end up winning the bid, you might end up overpaying for the property and you might buy a piece of junk, okay? So that is why do not attempt to do or go and buy properties at the auction. It's too risky. Therefore, what we're gonna do is we're gonna intercept those properties before they go to the auction. Why are we gonna do that? Because there are tons of benefits, friends. I'm gonna tell you what the benefits are. So number one, when we connect with the owner, we're gonna be able to see the property from the inside, which is huge, right? You've got to see the property from the inside so you know what you're getting into. You can estimate your rehab. That's number one benefit. Number two is that you can finance the deal, okay? So you don't need to pay cash for the deal. We're gonna be able to use a hard money lender or a private money lender to finance the deal. So all you need to do is maybe put down 10 to 15%, which is what most hard money lenders, private money lenders require. So they want you to have skin on the game, but it's a big difference, right? Putting down a 10% to 15% down rather than paying 100% cash, right, for the property. Not only that, but the biggest benefit is that you have zero competition. Therefore, you will be able to get a very good property at a deep discount with zero competition. So you will not overpay for the property. So you're gonna be able to see the property from the inside. You're gonna be able to finance the deal. Therefore, you can be paying 50, 60 cents on the dollar on these type of properties. That is why we've got to focus on pre-foreclosures and upcoming auctions. We're not gonna go to the auction, okay? So we're gonna intercept these properties before they get auctioned off. And we're gonna need to connect with the owner. Again, why with the owner directly? Because they're still entitled to the deed, to the property itself. So having said that, let's go ahead and find some awesome deals of owners that are in financial distress in foreclosure. So I will log on to the system. And in the meantime, while I log on, can you please send me via the chat some areas where you live or nearby? In the chat, because we're gonna find some awesome deals, and then we're gonna be able to quickly identify why they are awesome deals. And then I'm gonna show you the things that you've gotta look out. Okay, so I'm inside the system, and then I have, okay, so we have several areas. Perfect. Awesome. So I'm gonna start at the top. So here, we're going to go to off-market properties, and we're gonna be focusing in two categories, okay? Pre-foreclosures and upcoming auctions. So here, we're gonna start with few cities that you mentioned or areas. Okay, so what I'm going to do is here you can filter by county, by city, by zip code, but we're gonna pull up some of the cities that all of you have mentioned in the chat. South Holland, Downers Grove, Tinley Park, Buckbrook, Chicago Heights, Lombard, Forest Park, Algonquin, Cicero. So we have several areas. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is once we have all of them, the next thing that I'm going to do is I am going to filter these by high equity properties. Okay, so here we have the filter. We're gonna shoot for over 50% equity. Again, so what that means is the owner owes 50,000 and the property is worth 100,000, okay? So therefore we have 50,000 of equity to work with. Why is that important? Because that's gonna help us negotiate a better deal. Let me give you the opposite scenario. If somebody does not have any equity, let me give you the example. They owe, let's say 100,000 and the property is worth 100,000, guess what? The problem there is that they only have two options. They can either do a loan modification, that is in the case they want to stay in the property, but if they want to sell the property to an investor, guess what? They need to try to get do a short sale. So the bank needs to approve the short sale. So that's in the cases where the owner is underwater. So they owe more than what the property is worth, but we don't want to pursue those properties. Why? Because a short sale takes a long time and we cannot do a loan modification because we're not mortgage brokers. Okay, we're investors. We just want to find great deals. So just to keep it simple and easy, we will only target properties with over 50% equity. So having said that, I'm gonna click on search and see how many deals we're gonna find. In the areas that you mentioned above. Okay, so we found 94 deals, friends. So that's quite a lot. Okay, so I'm just gonna randomly pick on a property. So for instance, this one on Cicero. And then let's quickly understand what you need to look at, okay, when you look at this property. So first of all, one of the things that I don't like about this property is that we don't see the number of bedrooms. However, I see the square footage. So this property has to be at least 3 bedrooms, okay? This cannot be a 2 bedroom. So this is at least a 3 bedroom house. So it's a pretty big house. So now what we're gonna do here is understand, right, what we're looking into. So here, I will show you the most important thing that you need to look at is the filing date, okay? Because from this date, you've got to understand that the clock is ticking. So up to 2 years. So this was filed back in October last year. Okay, so it's fairly recent. So now why is this such a great deal? Because a property of this square footage in Cicero could be worth between 200 and 237. So we estimate the ARV based on the square footage, the number of bathrooms and bedrooms. In this case, since we don't have the number of bedrooms, we're gonna utilize the square footage, which seems fairly accurate, over 200 in Cicero. So now, why is this such a great deal? Because if I scroll down, check this out. I'm gonna show you the mortgage information. Last payment amount. So the owner last made a payment in April. So how long did it take the bank to officially file a lawsuit against the owner? So they fell behind. They stopped making a payment on April. So it took the bank about 5 months, okay, before they officially filed the lawsuit. And that is actually quite a lot. What I've seen mostly is that after 3 to 4 months that the owner fell behind, they filed for foreclosure. So now, who's the bank? So here, the plaintiff, okay? The plaintiff is the bank that is filing for foreclosure, okay? So it's a fairly large bank, but we don't need to worry about the bank, right? Because right now, again, we're gonna need to be connecting with the owners directly. And then we are going to give you the bank's attorney. So this is the office, actually Codellis, their #1 attorney for foreclosures in Illinois. And then we're gonna give you the contact information. But at this point, we don't need to worry about them because we need to connect with the owner. So the owner, the outstanding balance at this point is $66,000, okay? So how much equity are we looking at? So if the property is worth over $200,000, so we have over $100,000 in equity. So friends, if these owners, these people do nothing, eventually in about towards the end of this year, they are going to lose this property at auction. Okay, so this is where we come into the picture. We want to come into the picture and make them an offer. So before we make an offer, we've got to see the property from the inside, right? So the first thing that we need to do is, once we understand the numbers, I mean, this is going to be an awesome deal. So something that I want to show you very quickly is how much should we pay the owner, right? That's the biggest question. How much are we going to pay the owner? For sure, you've got to pay however much they owe to the bank, plus keep in mind that this was filed back in November. So since October last year, there are some late fees, penalties, interest that has accumulated. So therefore, we're gonna need to add that on to this amount. So here, if we have 66,000, you need to add at least a 10% on this amount. So 66, we're looking probably, to be conservative, up to 75,000 owed to the bank. Now, something that you need to keep in mind is always check for other liens. So what is this? Liens are, liens can be applied on any property by contractors, villages, the state, the counties. So if the owner owes money to any of these third-party organizations, they can file a lien against the property, which means that they cannot sell the property unless the debt is satisfied, okay? So here, fortunately, there are no other liens other than the mortgage. We've seen cases where we see liens from the association, if it's a townhome, for instance, or from the village for fees, like for instance, not paying the, or cutting the grass. So they can file liens for that. So in this case, we have no liens. Now, the next question is, how much should we pay for this property? So that's still early to know because we need to see the property from the inside, but we have some rule of thumbs. So the first thing that I like to do is, I want to see all the comps, all the properties that sold in the area in Cicero in the last 6 months that are about this square footage and these many bathrooms. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to pull the comps right here. So just scroll down, and then we're going to be targeting single family homes, bedrooms from 0 up to 4 bedrooms. Okay, now how many baths? Up to 2 baths, because the subject property has 1.5, and then up to 2 baths, and then half a bath. Then let me scroll to the right, and here we can click on search. Now we pre-default the square footage right here, and then a mile radius of 1 mile, and then that's sold in the last 6 months. So you don't need to touch the defaults. Let's click search. This is gonna give us an idea of how much we could sell this property should we buy it. So there are 2 properties. So here, these 2 properties, this is a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, and this is a 3-bedroom, 2 bath that sold in the last 6 months within a 1 mile radius. Now, how much did they sell for? So one sold for $185 and the other one for $195, okay? So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna take the average of these 2 properties. Okay, so right here, if we scroll up, we're gonna update the ARV. So now the ARV is 190, okay? So for this size property, we're gonna be able to sell this property once that is rehab for about 190,000. So here we can look at the comps. They're within a 1 mile radius from the subject property. So the subject property is the blue icon. So now the big question is, how much can we offer for this property? Let me show you this shortcut, rule of thumb that we use. So just pull up your calculator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the ARV, the after repair value, 190, times 70%. And I will explain in a second what that means. Okay, 133,000. So the 0.70%, what happens to the 30% that I'm discounting? So 20% is going to be your profit should you decide to do a flip, and then 10% is or goes towards holding expenses and closing cost. So that's just a rule of thumb. Multiply this by 70, and then we're going to deduct the rehab. So in here, we're going to give you the rehab. It's in blue. It's just an estimated amount. And again, this is based on the size of the property. So you can spend between 19 to or 20 to 30,000. So the way that I like to look at the rehab as a rule of thumb is take the square footage and multiply it by 2. So here, if I multiply 1,600 by 2, it's going to be like 32,000. So I'm going to deduct 32,000. So times 70% minus the rehab. So our maxed allowable offer on this deal should be no more than 100,000, friends. Okay, that is just the rule of thumb. We cannot offer more than 100,000, and obviously we still need to see the property from the inside. We estimated about 30,000 in rehab, but we still need to see the property from the inside. So that's what the numbers look like. So when I make an appointment with the owner, we know we have to pay the 66 plus the penalty. So this could go up to 75,000, okay, 75,000. So subtract minus 75,000. So we still have a room of 26,000. So we have to pay the owner some sort of incentive for them to settle somewhere else. So what about if we pay the owner, offer the owner 15,000, okay? So we're gonna have just a spread of about 11,000. So how much can we offer? Remember, we cannot offer more than 100,000 for this property, okay? So we're gonna offer, pay off the outstanding loan amount and fees, plus we're gonna give the owner about 15,000. So we're gonna pay about 90,000 for this property. But we have a give and take for the oops factor. We still have 10,000, right? That we have, that we can play with. Whether towards the rehab, towards the owner, we still have 10,000 to play with. But we are going to offer the owner 90,000 for this property. No more than 90,000 at this point for the numbers to make sense. So then the next step is, this is a good deal. I'm gonna do the street view. So I just click on I can toggle back and forth right here, street view, map view. I just wanna quickly take a look at the property, right? So the Caesar, this is the south of Caesar. So this is the good side of Caesar. So Caesar is an upcoming area. It's a great area. The street looks great. So definitely we should pursue this property. So the next step is connecting with the owner, right? So we did our numbers. So the next step is to connect with the owner to make an appointment so we can not only see the property from the inside, but get the owner to sign the contract. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is connect with the owner. So how do we do that? So we have many ways, as I mentioned earlier. We can either do a mailer. So if I go back to the foreclosure search, this middle section is the mailing campaign system. So in here, you can preview the mailers, right? And then once you pick one that you like, you select the property. So in this case, this is the subject property. So you can just click on it, select it, and then click on print your own letters and labels. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the mail merge for you. we're gonna generate the letter. So you can take this letter, make sure you print it out. So this is the letter, right, that is addressed to the owner. It's got your company name, your contact information, your signature, and everything. So make sure you have these available. You can either mail these, or we can actually do door knocking. So what does that mean? So that means that we can go to the property and knock on the door. If somebody answers, awesome, I'm gonna show you what to do next. But if nobody is home, you can take that letter that we just generated and put it under the door. That's gonna have your contact information. We're gonna be acknowledging what the owner is going through, right? The financial distress, that they're in foreclosure, empathizing with the owner, and most importantly, we're gonna be offering them a solution, right? That we can purchase the property. They don't need to lose the property to the bank. We can help them. We can pay off the outstanding debt. Not only that, but we can give them a moving package or a relocation package, call it, worth $15,000, which is amazing, right? Because we're gonna be helping somebody settle somewhere else, not affect their credit, and then in the process, we're gonna be benefiting by paying 60 cents on the dollar. If we buy this property for 90,000 and it's worth 180,000, we're gonna be paying 50 to 60 cents on the dollar. You see why this is a great deal? So what we're gonna do is now try to connect with the owner directly. So in here, we have the owners. You can just click on the name, and then we're gonna do skip tracing on the owner, okay? So what this means is we're gonna give you their personal contact information. This is primarily used by collection agencies, but we integrate with this type of system for your benefit, so that we can connect directly with them. Because let me tell you, most investors do mailing campaigns. So they mail out letters to owners, but let me tell you the problem. The open rate is only 3%. So what does that mean? So if you send out 100 letters, you're lucky if you get 3 responses, okay? People just don't open up the mail, right? And if they do, they'll just ditch it in the garbage. That's the problem with the mailing campaign. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna be connecting with the owner directly, right? Either door knocking or cell phone, text, or email. In this case, we didn't get the email, but we can do a text message right here, or we can just call the owner. In fact, I'm gonna do that as we speak, because this is a great deal. And in fact, as many of you know, we're doing a flip in Cicero as we speak. In fact, we're going to take you to that property in about a week and a half, okay? Because it's been rehabbed, and I want you to meet our contractor. So I'm going to take you guys to Cicero for a property tour of the flip we're doing right now. So I understand, and I know Cicero is a great area. It is a little bit hard to work with the village. I mean, they require you to do all sorts of inspections, right? By certified and bonded, qualified professionals, but it's okay. So what I'm gonna do next, I'm gonna pick up the cell phone. I'm gonna take my cell phone, and then I'm gonna make the phone call to Raymond, okay? So my objective, friends, is to set an appointment for tomorrow. I wanna go see Raymond either in the morning or in the afternoon, okay? And then we're gonna take the contract that we're gonna print for him to sign. And whatever we do with the property, whether we do a fix and flip, buy and hold, or a wholesale, doesn't really matter. What I care about is getting the property under contract, okay? So when I call Raymond, if I'm lucky to speak with him right now, I'm gonna say, hello, Raymond, my name is Hugo. I'm a real estate investor, and I understand you are going through foreclosure. I can help you. I can buy your property cash. And give you a relocation package for you to settle elsewhere. Can we meet tomorrow morning or afternoon? What would work better for you? So as you can see, not only am I acknowledging, right, their financial distress, I'm empathizing with them, and I'm offering them a solution, and I'm assuming the appointment for tomorrow. So I just give him the option to meet either in the morning or in the afternoon. So I'm gonna go ahead and call the first number. So I'm gonna dial if he doesn't pick up, I'm gonna leave a message. I'm gonna put it on the loudspeaker, so hopefully you guys can hear. 630-291-9151, 9151. Calling the number, and I have you guys on the speakerphone.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. 630-291-9151 is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hello, Raymond. My name is Hugo. I'm a real estate investor, and I understand you're going through foreclosure on your property at 5042 West 32nd Place in Cicero. I can help you buy your property. If you could please call me when you get a chance, my number is 773-368-4551. Hello?
Hello?
Oh, hi, is this Raymond?
Yes.
Oh, hi, Raymond. My name is Hugo. I'm a real estate investor, and I understand you're going through foreclosure process on your property in Cicero.
No. I don't know where you got that from. My body.
Okay, so I just saw that the bank BMO just filed the foreclosure back in November. Okay, so friends, I was able to get a hold of Raymond, and he said that it's not in foreclosure. So he denied the fact that the property is in foreclosure. Many of you might have heard that he said, no, it's not. And then he hung up on me. But at least you see the power. We were able to connect with Raymond, and then I'm gonna show you something very powerful. I'm going to click on the owner loan tab right here, because I wanna see in here, these are the public records. Okay, so in here, we can see who the latest owner is, and indeed is Raymond. Okay, so I was able to get a hold of Raymond as we speak, but he said it's not in foreclosure process. Let me tell you something. Most people, once they're in foreclosure process, especially the first 6 months, they are in denial, right? So they're hopeful they're gonna be able to get out of it. So they're totally denying the fact they're gonna lose their home, or many of them don't even understand what that means. So they don't even know that they're gonna lose their property if they don't do anything. So at this point, I can confirm through public records that Raymond is the owner of this property. So this property has not been sold. He is the true owner of this property, okay? So in this case, let me see, the taxes are about $6,000. So let's go back to here. So for sure, he's in denial. And the next step is, I would wanna go to the property. I would wanna do door knock on the property. And in fact, you know, I can take a printout of this screen, right? I can take a printout of the screen and do door knocking. And because he might deny it, or he might not even know. We've had some cases where people don't even know they're in foreclosure process, okay? Because they don't even open up their mail. They're just ignoring all sorts of communication. So I'm gonna take this screenshot of this property and I say, Raymond, this is serious, right? So BMO is your current mortgagor, and they have filed a lawsuit against you back in October last year. So you're in foreclosure. You currently owe $66,000 plus fees and penalties. I'm here to help you, right? So I would want to do door knocking on this property because this is a great deal, friends, okay? And then, so Irene is probably the wife. But here you saw the power, friends. While your competition is putting the letter in the mailbox, we have already flipped the property. Why? Because we're gonna connect directly with the owners via email, cell phone, text message, okay? So another option is for me to send a text message to him right now, but I don't want to do that. I want to talk to him in person. Okay, so that'll be the next step. So friends, let's assume that we were able to make an appointment with him, right, for tomorrow morning. So what do we need to bring to the appointment? We need to bring the contract that he needs to sign. So click on make offer. And this is the 2-page contract, okay, that we're gonna take to the appointment. And at this point, remember, we are going to offer no more than $90,000 for this property. Okay, $90,000 for this property. So all he needs to do is, these are some clauses that are gonna help you cancel the contract. And the first 3 of them you can cross out because they talk about having a broker in between. No, there's no brokerage. There are no commissions to be paid out. So it's just between you and the owner. So these clauses, when you cross them out, the 1 through 3, you're gonna make them feel special, okay? And then at the bottom, this is where they need to sign and date. So when you print it out, it's gonna have your signature and today's date already. This is the contract we need to take to have the owner sign this contract. So you see how powerful that is, friends? Now, I show you the rule of thumb, right? How we were able to quickly analyze the deal, and we're gonna be making money on both the fix and flip and the rental, and we can prove it in just in 1 minute, okay? So if I do the rental calculator right here or the flip calculator, we're gonna be making money either way when we buy the property for $90,000. So let's just quickly do the flip. So we can sell this property for up to 190. So the rehab, we said we're gonna do the square footage times 2, it'll be close to 35,000, 1, 2, 3. We're gonna hold on to the property for 4 months while we do the rehab and market time. Utilities, we're gonna pay for the utilities where we rehab the property, electric, water, and gas. Insurance is gonna be maybe close to 80. Taxes were 6,000 divided by 12, that's like 500. And then we're gonna be paying no more than 90,000 for the property. So that covers for the mortgage, the fees, and then a 15,000 relocation package for the owner. So if I just click on calculate, let's look at the net profit. So net profit on this deal on a flip is gonna be 53,000, friends, which is a great deal. So that's what I'm talking about. When you target off-market properties, in this case, foreclosures with tons of equity, that's where the big spreads are. So in this case, if we buy this property for 90,000, so 50 cents on the dollar, when you do a flip, you're gonna be making at least 50,000. That's taking in consideration holding expenses, commissions, everything. After all is said and done, you're gonna be making about 40 to 50,000 on this deal, which is very realistic. So you see why it's so critical for you to do the numbers. I mean, I did the numbers. I show you the rule of thumb, how quickly we can analyze and understand how much we can offer for this property. So easy. And friends, if I go back to the list, we still have 93 more awesome deals. Can you imagine? So people complain, oh, you know, I just can't find great deals. There are tons of deals, friends, because let me ask you this. How many home run deals do you need a year, right? I mean, I'm okay with 1, 2 home run deals a year. This is a home run deal. Friends, if we can do 2 of these type of properties a year, that's 100,000, okay? 100,000 profit, just 2 deals, okay? So it's totally worth going to this property tomorrow, meeting Raymond, okay? We already have his cell phone. Just meet him in person. When you meet him in person, I wanna make sure, friends, that you watch 7 videos that we have in here under the training tab, because these videos are gonna help you right here. It starts with building rapport. They are gonna show you how you're gonna be able to communicate with the owner by creating, building rapport, understanding their motivation, creating interest, and most importantly, get them to sign the contract. So make sure you watch these 7-8 videos. They're only 8 to 9 minute videos because they're going to give you the confidence, okay, for you to be able to get the owner to sign the 2-page contract that I show you. It's a non-invasive, non-intrusive contract. It is that simple, friends. Because once you get the owner to sign the contract, we can do anything. We can buy and hold, fix and flip, we can wholesale the deal, okay? The most important thing is for you to get the owner to sign that 2-page contract because, friends, successful and wealthy real estate investors have a great deal, okay? That's what they're good at. They're good at finding great deals, and this is one of them, okay? So the next thing is for you to get it on the contract, because once you have this on the contract, we're done with it. We can partner up to get funding. You can buy and hold. You can wholesale the deal because for wholesaling, we give you the cash buyers. We're going to help you do a blast email. But today's objective was for you to understand the foreclosure process. So let's quickly summarize what we did today. Tonight, I explained to you what the foreclosure process is. Somebody falls behind, the owner is going to come. The bank is going to come after the owner. Since Illinois is a judicial state, banks have to go through the court system. Okay, therefore, it's going to take up to 2 years before the bank can take possession of the property. Okay, so these properties are owned by distressed owners. We can connect with them directly as I show you, and we're going to be targeting the ones that have tons of equity, so over 50% equity, which means that they owe $50,000, but the property is worth twice as much, $100,000, because we're going to have some wiggle room, right, to not only pay off what they owe, but give the owner some sort of relocation package. In this case, $15,000. And finally, once you did your analysis, just the way I show you, the rule of thumb, just multiply this by 0.70 minus the rehab. Remember, to quickly compute the rehab, multiply the square footage by 2. So again, so it's 180. I'm going to quickly do that again. So the property could be worth actually 190 times 70%, because that includes 20% for your profit and 10% for holding costs and closing costs, minus the rehab. So the rehab is going to be the square footage, 1,600 times 2, it's 32,000. Okay, so 32. So the most you can offer for this property is 100,000. But we're going to be offering 90,000, and that covers for the mortgage plus a 15,000 bonus for the owner. So if we can get this on the contract, this is a home run deal, friends. And all you need is 2 of these a year. That's it. No more. 2 of these, and you're going to be in very good shape. Okay, friends? So I'm going to open up the line for questions. Are there any questions? Okay, so there are a couple of questions here. So here, how do you check if it's okay? So there are many questions, so I'm going to address them very quickly. Hugo, when is the best time to approach the seller that hasn't sold? So the best time to approach the seller is right now, just as I show you. Once you find the deal, we found 94 awesome deals. When you find the deal, you run the numbers quickly within a minute. You can know how much you can offer, right? You call the owner right now. Take action today. If you don't take action, then it's worthless, right? To have all these deals on the computer. You've got to call the owner. You've got to go visit the owner at the property. Another question is, how do you check if there's a second lien? Okay, liens are going to be shown right here. If there are other liens, you're going to see them right here. So scroll down to the liens or click on the owner loan tab. Right here, you're going to see open loans, okay? If there are any open loans, you can also see them right here, but primarily check on other liens. Here, you're going to see if they have a secondary mortgage, like a HELOC, home equity line of credit, okay? So they're going to be listed right here, second liens. And then another one is, do we always add 10% to the balance? Do we always multiply the square footage by 2? Okay, so it's just a rule of thumb. It works awesome, friends. They multiply the square footage by 2, but this works awesome for B, C areas. I'm talking about bread and butter areas. If you look at A areas like Glenview, Wilmette, Glencoe, then the multiplication times 2 won't work. Why? Because the rehab quality on A areas is going to be a lot higher. So you're going to need to multiply that by 3 or 4. So if you were to rehab this property in Wilmette or Glencoe, you've got to multiply these by 3 or 4. So times 4, you're going to spend $70,000 on a high-end rehab in Glencoe for this type of property. Okay, but this property in Glencoe would cost over $500,000. So does that make sense? So for bread and butter, multiply that by 2, but still, you've got to see the property from the inside, okay? Because once you see the property from the inside, you're gonna realize if there are high ticket items to be replaced, like mechanicals, furnace, water heaters, roof, windows. That's all gonna add up, right? So make sure you see the property from the inside. So the 10%, when I multiply it times 70, 20% is your profit, 10% accounts for holding expenses and closing costs. Okay, so holding expenses are your principal, your interest, your utilities, okay, and then closing costs. So that is why we account for 10%. Another question is, if everything goes according to plan, how long would this entire process take? Okay, so that's a great question. If I was to meet Raymond tomorrow and get him to sign the contract, guess what? We can close in 3 weeks. Why 3 weeks? Because we allow 1 week for attorney review and inspection, and then we allow 2 weeks for a hard money lender to fund the deal. So we can close in 3 weeks on this deal, okay? So it's gonna be super fast. Therefore, we must use hard money lenders, private money lenders, okay? We should not use conventional lenders. And then the next question is, check the purchase date. I do not understand that question. Check the purchase date. Okay, so purchase date said January 2019. Okay, so what does that mean? If you can tell me more, Sandra, Tom, what does that mean? Does that mean that somebody purchased this property on January 19th? Please give me more details. Now, there is another question here. Why did you cross out the item allowing you to do an inspection? Oh, okay, because you want to make the owner feel special, right? So you want to buy the property as is, but friends, you're already seeing the property from the inside when you meet with the owner, so you can waive the inspection, okay? Because you're seeing the property from the inside, so you know what you're getting into. So that is why we did the exercise of the property tour in Cicero, having brought George Hyatt as the inspector. So he showed you what to look for in the property when you look at a property and understand what the high ticket items are. Okay, so we're gonna waive the inspection. We're gonna say as is. And then please explain valuation process. Okay, valuation process. So valuation process means that how we're gonna be able to come up with the offer price we're gonna make. So again, so you take the ARV of the property, how much we're gonna be able to sell the property for, times 70% minus the rehab amount. Another question is, reason you were hung up on is because the owner just purchased the property. Okay, so the owner just purchased the property on January 2019. Okay, so somebody in the chat said that this property was already purchased by the owner. So that means that he came current with the loan and he paid off the $66,000. Okay, that's a possibility for sure. So I would want to know where you saw that, the purchase date of January 2019. Let me see in here if there's a purchased date in here. Transaction history. Oh, okay, right here. Right here. Transaction history this year. Raymond. Okay, so guys, I missed this. In the transaction history of Raymond, the owner paid off the loan. Okay, so there's no outstanding loan, but it was recorded that he paid off the outstanding debt. So we were able to get a hold of Raymond. Raymond was in the lawsuit for foreclosure, but somehow he was able to pay off the outstanding debt, because I totally missed that. As you can see, transaction history in January this year, he paid off that amount. So therefore, this property is free and clear. There are no debts at this point. I totally missed that. So thank you very much, Rich and who else caught this? Rich and Tom, thank you for bringing this up. So check this out. Check what happened on this property. So he was in foreclosure in October. So it took the owner November, December, 3 months to come up with the money, with $66,000. So he paid off the money to the bank, to BMO, to get out of the foreclosure process. Okay, so right here, as you can see, we see the transaction. So there's no loan, at this point. He paid cash for that property, so therefore, he's no longer in foreclosure. So that is why he hung up on me. He was like, no, this is not in foreclosure process. Okay, so it makes sense. He used to be as of last year, but as of January this year, he was not. So friends, here I totally missed this one. So great job, friends. That tells me that you're paying attention, that you are on the ball on this transaction. So great exercise. This was an awesome exercise for everyone. Are there any other questions on the line that we can address? So thank you for bringing that up, friends. You guys are awesome. You guys are rocking tonight. Another one. Okay. That was very funny. Rich said we have 90 more deals to go, right? Exactly. We found 94 deals. We just analyzed one of them. So great job, friends. You guys are rocking. You understand the foreclosure process. Connect with the sellers, with the owners today. Take action today. It doesn't take much. Just a quick phone call, friends, and that's it. And if not, do door knocking. Okay, so friends, thank you for joining tonight. Please stay tuned for next week's webinar. Another question that just popped up is, how did you get the phone numbers? Okay, again, friends, to get the phone numbers, just click on the owner's name. When you click on the owner's name, we're gonna skip trace them. Boom, we're gonna give you the phone numbers. Just click on the name. It's an investigation service we integrate with, okay? So that's how we get the phone numbers from. Okay, friends, so thank you for joining tonight. Stay tuned for next week's webinar and have a great week. Thank you for joining. So another quick question is, if you don't have funds for the property, don't worry. This type of deal, I can guarantee we're gonna fund the deal, okay? You partner up with anybody in Chicago Deal Vault, you give me a call, I can connect you with somebody who can give you the money for this type of deal. If you get it on the contract for $90,000, it's gonna get funded tomorrow, friends. I just make a quick phone call and it will get funded. Okay, friends, so thank you again for joining tonight. Thank you and have a great night.